What's up, party people? Welcome to Geared Up. It's our weekly live broadcast where we talk about gear, we do lighting technique breakdowns, we have fun, we take questions, do some lighting stuff, and try to learn some cool things together. Today, we're going to be diving into a couple of Fresnels. Now, we have three Fresnels at Profoto. We have the Clic Fresnel, we have the Fresnel Small, and we have the Pro Fresnel Spot. We're not going to be talking about the Pro Fresnel Spot today because that's really made for pro heads or protruded dome flashes, whereas these two, right here, are made for flat front lights. Clearly the Clic one in particularly is made for the A2, but the Pro Fresnel Spot can be used with really any of our lights, at least as far as our flashes. The continuous light like the L1600 can get a little hot with the housing, so this one's not made for that. But as far as all of our flashes go, this bad boy works for that. So let's get into the comparisons between the two. Let's talk about pros and cons, and then let's take some shots so you can see the differences, and yeah, we'll chat it up. So the first most obvious difference is size. So the Pro Fresnel Spot one has this big 200 millimeter hunk of glass on the front, really beautiful precision ground. It's a really beautiful Fresnel. This has a 70 millimeter. Ooh, I smacked the heck out of that microphone. Did you hear that?
It's fine.
Okay, good. I was like, schmack. So your Clic Fresnel, 70 millimeters, a little bit smaller. What that's gonna do for you, one, is, I mean, the form factor of the Clic stuff is just, as far as portability goes, you can't beat it. I mean, you could literally travel with the Clic Fresnel on the A2 itself, and the form factor doesn't really change that much, which is really nice. This bad boy, on the other hand, is about 7 pounds. It's heavier. Again, this is a big chunk of glass here on the front of it. It's got some mechanical things on the inside of it, like an iris. We'll talk about that here in just a second. But it's, you know, metal housing to kind of dissipate some of that heat, especially if you're running like a D2 or a Pro head with a halogen modeling light, and you know, those suckers get hot. So it's going to give you a little bit more ability to vent that out, but it's a little bit bigger. The metal can withstand the heat though, which is nice. So size comparison, if you're trying to stay on the go and super portable, I mean, you really can't beat the Clic version of the Fresnel. For some more versatility, and we'll talk about that here right now with a Fresnel, the Fresnel Small is going to have that beat. And so let's talk about that first and foremost. One, I don't have any barn door. I don't have the new barn doors that came out with mine yet, but we do now have a barn door option for the front of the Fresnel Small, which is really great. It gives you the ability to cut. For anyone wondering what barn doors are, maybe you're kind of just tuned in for the first time here at Geared Up. A barn door, or you're just new to light shaping. Maybe you tune in, but you're new to light shaping. A barn door is an accessory that you can use that helps cut light and control the edges. So this is the Clic barn door. So with both units, you have the option for barn doors. Obviously, that's not the barn door for that one. You would get the Fresnel Small barn doors. That'd be awkward. But what this allows you to do is you can take the Fresnel, put it on, oh, I'm sorry. That's right, with the Fresnel, you actually have to put it on the outside. So you can put your barn doors on the outside of the Fresnel, and then you can cut and shape that light so you can take that beam and kind of control it however you'd like to. And you can do the same thing with the barn doors for this. So as far as accessories go they're pretty matched head to head. Now, one of the things where the Clic has an edge with some of those accessories, kind of going back to the a lot of the optionalities of stuff. Sorry, I walked away, Kate. So you're gonna have the option too for, like, you know, like the Clic gels and stuff. So you can pop that on there, and then you could gel your Fresnel really easily. Whereas something like the Fresnel Small, you're still gonna have to kind of put a large piece of gel over the front of it, maybe with some C57s or something like that. Clothespins for people who don't know what that is, or you can just gaff tape it on. It's kind of what I've done forever. So the Clic gives you a few more gel options as far as that stuff goes. I don't need this anymore, so I'm just gonna throw it over here. Cool. So both have a barn door option. Now, where the Fresnel Small has an extra little cool advantage is this little lever right here. I threw those. This little lever right here. So this right here is going to allow you to open and close an iris, which is going to allow the beam angle of the Fresnel Small to get smaller or larger. So with the barn doors, yes, you can control the beam angle, but you're controlling the edges of the beam angle. So what's happening is, you know, if you cut one too much, you're going to lose kind of that circular shape. And if that's what you're going for, the barn doors are just going to get rid of that. So what the iris allows is just, it takes the circle and makes it smaller or larger, smaller or larger. So you can maintain that circular shape, especially if you're trying to replicate some sort of a spotlight look. The iris is going to give you some more options there. So
what would you say the advantages of having a Fresnel would be? Just that spotlight?
Yeah, so someone's asking what are the advantages of having a Fresnel? So Fresnels do a couple things. So there's the main thing a Fresnel does is it takes a convex lens, a really big convex lens, and it breaks it, it takes out, scoops out the middle portions of it, and it just breaks it into this kind of stepped pattern and gives you a really crisp beam angle. It's insanely controllable, so it has a very distinct edge, so you can be really precise with the light. It also just has this evenness to it when you throw it, just because, again, all the light's coming out very parallel. It's a really beautiful light source. Nothing really looks like a Fresnel, especially if you're going for that old Hollywood look. This is almost exclusively what they used. So that's really what you're gonna get out of a Fresnel. You're gonna get the directness, you're gonna get that parallel light. It's just got a crispness to it that's really, really lovely. You can't really replicate it. So that is what you're gonna get from a Fresnel. Now, let's talk about what these Fresnels can give you also, or take away from you also, and that is going to be some power loss. So, or power gain. So let's go power loss first. So the Fresnel Small has a housing on the inside of it here. Crack this open so you can kind of see it. So the inside of the housing is silver. So it's trying to maintain, I don't know that you're gonna really be able to see this all that well. Let's see if we can go here. So not so much. Almost wonder if I could do this. If you can see the inside of it. There you go, a little bit. So the inside of the housing is silver for the most part, but right there against the edge, right where that glass is going through, it's kind of a dark black wall on the unit. So that's going to absorb a little bit of light, but it's also going through another diffusion panel on the inside of that. So this unit, you have a little bit of light loss going through it. I've found it to be somewhere between a stop to a stop and a half of light loss coming through the spot small. So depending on what you're trying to do, you might need a little bit more light for it. Today we're gonna be using the 250 watt B10X just to make sure that we're staying relatively close to the power of the A2. Try to keep as apples to apples as possible. We'll talk about something else here in just a second, but that's what we're doing there.
Tony has a question to piggyback. So
yeah.
Because it helps light that zoom, is that why the A10 had a Fresnel lens and the A2 doesn't? Yeah,
so Tony's asking about, and Caitlin can throw it up on the screen. So Tony's asking about why the A10 has a Fresnel and the A2 does not have a Fresnel. So because the A10 has the ability to have a zoom motor, or has a zoom motor inside of it, it's collecting light differently at different positions to try to cover your lens. Now, ideally, the A10 coverage is somewhere between a 24 to 105 range as far as coverage goes, but it's not totally true because it's a round shape and camera sensors are rectangular. So it's not a true edge-to-edge coverage of your sensor. So, you know, at a point, once you start to go super wide, you're gonna start to see that vignette. But yeah, so it covers, the Fresnel allows the light to kind of gather or spread as that motor moves closer and further away. With the A2, we don't have to worry about that because the zooming is gonna be done by moving the light closer or further away. So it just has a really nice diffused lens over the front of it to kind of keep the light smoother. So yes, that's why the A10 has a Fresnel, the A2 does not, because it's just more of a true monolight style, because it is monolight. So now, the 1 to 1.5 stop power loss with the Fresnel Small is quite the opposite over here with the Clic Fresnel. So what's nice about this is on the Clic version, you get about 1.5 to 1.7 stop light output gain. So you're getting almost 2 stops more light output by putting this on the front of the unit. That's gonna be really, really huge if you're shooting outside or you're shooting in a place where maybe you need to throw the light a little bit further. This Fresnel is gonna give you the ability to do that. So a little bit of light loss, a little bit of light gain. So that's a big deal between the two. So that's something that you need to keep in mind whenever you're thinking about shooting with a Fresnel. Now, we were talking about the light that goes into this. because you are losing light, you could in theory, and I brought it out here just so I could show you. You could, in theory, take the Clic OCF adapter. So I've just taken the light stand adapter off of this, and it would absolutely go right in there. And then you could take the A2 and snap the A2 in there and shoot that as well. Unless you're working at insanely close proximities, it's going to eat up the light. And this is 100 watts already. So I think when we were doing our testing, we were able to get to like, I would say we were probably 4 feet away from you before we got a good exposure from the A2 with the Fresnel Small. So that's something you have to keep in mind. And then if you're going to close the iris down, you're going to lose even more light. So
can I give you a question?
You can absolutely do that.
Okay, so let's see. Derek says, oh, it's not popping up. Pop up, friend.
There we go.
There it is. Is it a good idea to use the A2 plus the Clic Fresnel as a hair light or even a kicker? I'm looking for something to complement my key light D2 with 4x6.
Yeah, the A2 as a kicker with the Fresnel would be nice. I mean, honestly, you could do it without the Fresnel and get a little bit more light spread. The Fresnel is just going to be, I would probably use the Fresnel for more of a hair light than a kicker, me personally. Kind of for kickers, I like a little bit more diffuse light. If I was going to go with the A2 as a kicker, I would probably do the Clic 1x3. But as a hair light, the Fresnel would be really beautiful. The A2 by itself would be really beautiful. It really just depends on how smooth you like the light or how much detail you're going to want, because obviously using a harder light as your hair light, you're going to see more fine hair details up there. So you're just going to want to make sure that you're really paying attention to your subject's hair and flyaways and stuff like that, because then if you don't, you'll have to take care of that in post if that's something that bothers you. So that's the one thing I would say, just pay attention to if you're going to use hard light as your hair light. But other than that, you know, the Fresnel would be beautiful. So.
Lots of good questions.
Perfect.
Today.
But yes, no, I love the Clic Fresnels. Again, more power out of the Clic Fresnel, a little bit less power out of the Fresnel Small. So that's something you have to think about. So so you have a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier, a little bit smaller, a little bit more compact, but you're gonna have a few more light control options over here with the controllable iris. This can also handle higher heat light. So if you are, again, using a D2, a D1, Pro heads, D4 heads, acute heads, things with halogen modeling lights, this thing can handle it no problem. This obviously only goes on the A-series. So the con is if you don't have any A-series lights, you can't really use the Clic Fresnel. So yeah, so A-series, super small, super compact, doesn't really work on anything else. Then you have the Fresnel Small, and that right there is going to work on almost everything else except for things like the L1600. So, okay, cool. So we talked about size, we've talked about power, we've talked about the ability to shape the light. Now, I think it's time that we actually photograph. I don't think, I'm just racking my brain. Oh, we talked about light shapers, so we talked about the things like the barn doors, and we'll play with this a little bit with the Fresnel, the Clic Fresnel. I'm just gonna leave it kind of wide open for right now while we're shooting. Also, it's summer vacation, so the Rugrats are free, and they will also try to make their way into the shooting space. That was one of them.
Trying to bribe me to have a cookie.
Oh, he was trying to coax you into a cookie? A morning cookie.
A morning cookie.
A morning cookie. Yeah, he's cute though, so he'll probably want it.
I know. Listen.
So also for this, I like the look of Fresnels. I do.
Oh.
But they are a hair more dramatic for me. I am going to raise the contrast a little bit. I'm not going to go crazy, but I'm going to raise the contrast a little bit with this 3x4. It's got a Pro D3 on it, just so you know if anyone asks. It doesn't have to be a Pro D3. I'm shooting at a power level of 4, so it's clearly plenty of power. But I just want to raise the contrast a little bit. It's a personal preference thing, but I've kept it opened up enough. I've kept the ratio far enough apart that you can still see what the Fresnels are doing without it going super deep. I will turn it off so you can see what it looks like, but I am going to be using a fill for the actual image. So
I see your questions too. I promise
cool.
we'll get to you in a second.
Does anyone have one real fast that we can answer while I'm putting these lights into place?
Let's see, Chris. So if I gain some power with the Fresnel lens, on the A2, would it also be smart idea to also add a Clic Magnum as well for more power?
No, so okay, that's a cool question. So
Thanks, Tony.
cool question. So the Clic Magnum, just so I can show people what this thing is. So this is the Clic Magnum. So it's a hard reflector for the A-series. The facets on the inside of it, right there, are designed for the diffusion plate on the front of the A2. It's not designed so like for it to gather light the way that you want it to. Now that doesn't mean that we couldn't test it and just see what would happen, but the Fresnel is going to throw the light in a pretty tight beam. It's not meant to really gather it. Now, that being said, I've never tested it. I can't tell you, exactly if that works. Maybe it's something I need to test and we need to talk about it on another Geared Up. Just kind of focusing on Clic stuff. It does work as far as like actual stacking, but the beam is probably not going to allow it to be, oh, I know my camera's like right in the way, hang on a second. The beam is probably not going to allow it to be, to gather the light properly to give you the output that you're looking for. So we can talk about it some other time, or I can just test it and you can DM me. I know Caitlin will be throwing up my Instagram. You can DM me and we can chat about it privately and just, I'll take some test shots and share them with you and let you know what I see.
Very nice. Throw another one. Let's see.
Yeah, throw up another one fast.
I use my A2s with Fresnel during events to illuminate speakers on the stage across the room.
Mm-hmm.
I feel it helps tighten the light beam.
Yes, it does.
Improve the light.
Yes. Yeah, so with the Clic Fresnel, again, I know I put my camera away. So the Clic Fresnel is going to give you a 34-degree beam spread. It's going to take that beam and it's going to tighten it up to 34 degrees. Degrees is a new word. We're working on it. So it's going to tighten it up to 34 degrees. And what that's going to do, it's also going to take the light and make it kind of collimate it. It's going to make it all come out pretty parallel and straight. So you're getting, so the light beam is a lot more even. Whereas so something like the Magnum is also going to give you some light output, but what that light beam is going to start to do is going to feather off on the edges a little bit more. The Fresnel is going to, again, keep that light collimated a little bit more and keep the light beams a lot more parallel. So something to keep in mind. So with that being said, let's take some photos with these two Fresnels. So what I think I'll do is I think I'll take, with each Fresnel, I'll take a shot without the fill, with the fill, so you can kind of see what I'm just, again, because I personally want to raise that contrast. So you ready to rock and roll, Kate?
Yeah, I have somehow lost our extension.
Here, let's do this. Let me help you out real fast.
Cam.
Oh yeah, gotcha. So here, you know what? Things happen.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Here we go.
Perfect. There we are. Perfect. All right, we're back.
And then you could just drag that one over if you want the.
Yeah, let's do the bigger.
Perfect.
Technology. Okay.
Sometimes things love us. Sometimes things don't love us. Okay. So I'm gonna have you. I'm actually gonna take a step back. You're perfect in your position.
I'm just gonna stay on here.
Yeah, just a hair, maybe half a step back. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Lovely. And then one thing that you want to make sure you're doing with a Fresnel light is you want to make sure it's actually pointing at your subject. They are pretty precise. Caitlin, does that look like it's pointing at you or is it past you?
It's like up in the stratosphere.
Okay. In the stratosphere.
Yes. Yeah, there. We're good.
Cumulonimbus. Cool.
Clouds and
yeah. Cloud time.
Cloud time.
Here we go. 3. Oh, hold on, let's make sure that we're firing. Okay, good. So I said we're gonna do 1 no. So just hold it. I'm gonna say 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, and then we'll go. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, 3. Oh, that was spicy. Let's pull that back a little bit. What did I do? Oh, you know what? It's set for the B10. Let's come back here. Keep holding. I'm just messing everything up. Hang on a second. I'm gonna get us in the ballpark here. That's where I wanted to be. I love it. And then now I'm gonna pull that back just a skosh. Love that. All right, perfect. Now, so that was without fill. This is with fill. 3, 2, 1. So lovely. So just raise the contrast a little bit. So when there's multiple lights coming in and out of the scene, things get a little wackadoo. So let's pull this up real fast. So you can see, just looking at that image right there. Oh, I'm behind Kate, that's cool. You can see that looking at that image right there, we have a nice vignette that's happening. A beautiful light beam, again, is pretty tight, about 34 degrees. So it's going to keep the light pretty straight. You're noticing that there's not a lot of feathering falling off to the bottom. This is, now that I'm also looking at this is one other thing that I didn't talk about. If you're trying to, oh, we're back, we're there, cool. This is one thing that I didn't talk about. So if you're trying to get a harder light, the Clic Fresnel is also going to be better there as well, because you're going from 200 millimeters to 70 millimeters. So just the rule of the larger the light shaper is in relationship to the subject, the harder the light is. You're already starting 130 millimeters smaller, even at the same distance. So you're already going to get a harder light source. So you can see that we're getting some pretty hard shadows. Not super, it's not like using the spot small where you can take that and you can really focus those shadows, but still pretty pronounced. You can see her shape really, really well. So that's going to be a much harder light. And then we could also, I know this is Kate's favorite part right here, is when we zoom in under the nose, but you could actually see that, look how defined the nose shadow is. It's a real hard light. It's nice. You look lovely, babe. So really, really hard light. That's another advantage if you're looking for that out of the Clic Fresnel over the Fresnel Small. So that's that. And then just to show you, again, I like to raise the contrast a little bit. We didn't go too crazy, but you can see even here on the body, like right around midsection is where we're going to start losing what we had with the Fresnel there. You can kind of see this little bit of a reflection, even in the non-filled version. You can see that little bit of reflection off her waistband. So we're kind of keeping the light kind of stays right here. Distance-wise, we're working at about 6 to 8 feet away from her. So something to keep in mind. And then again, we just raised the contrast a little bit just because I think that looks a little more polished, but still a beautiful specular light, really, really crisp. And then you can see here too, where the shadow's lifted with the contrast. See how sharp that line is. There's almost no feathering right there.
And Tony is saying, so the Fresnel is really like a grid with more power?
Yes, but it's more direct. So a grid is still gonna feather. And maybe this is what we need to talk about next week. Maybe that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pivot our next week, and we're gonna do a total Clic comparison thing. So we'll go Fresnel, we'll do grids, we'll even throw, was it Tony who was wanting to talk? So Tony will even throw the Magnum on the Fresnel and just see what happens. I'll use a light meter for John because that'll make him happy. That's next week. So next week we're gonna dive through all this stuff, but a grid is still gonna have some feathering at the edges, whereas the idea of the Fresnel is it's using all the light beams and going straight. So they're not really starting to fan too much. It's again, that word collimation, it's keeping them in a straight line. So something to keep in mind. So that's with the A2. So now let's move this Fresnel Small into place. And we're gonna take a couple of shots with this one just so I can show you how the iris is gonna affect this. So let's put these in the same place. Perfecto. Any other questions while I'm putting this B10 in?
Love it. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, no, awesome. the question. I love the questions. Thank y'all so much.
The questions make this really fun for us.
Yeah. Also, the comparison things are fun. You always think y'all help me think of things that I definitely didn't think of while I was prepping for it. So, are we same height? Yeah, we're roughly the same height.
It's aiming at the ceiling.
One thing to keep in mind if you're going to go the Fresnel Small route, maybe you're a B10 user and you really like the Fresnel Small. One thing to keep in mind with the Fresnel Small, if you're a B10 user, and honestly, I like it with all the lights. If we're being honest, I like it with all the lights. But this is the stand adapter here is what goes to the B3 and the Pro B3 and the Pro D3.
I don't know that they can.
They don't need to. I'm just saying it. But the stand adapter here goes to the Pro B3 and D3. And I like it better. If you're using a B10, it's a must. If you're not using a B10, you don't have to, but I just like pivoting from the Fresnel Small. So that's something to keep in mind.
Andrew says, I think of it like a mini lighthouse light beam.
It's exactly what it is. It's exactly a mini lighthouse. And that's the whole idea. Again, to beat the drum with the word collimation, the whole point is to keep the light beam incredibly precise and point it right where you need it. So it's beautiful. So that's pointed at you?
Yes.
Cool. Half a step back, I think. I think you came in just a little bit. Is it still pointing at you, or no? Do I need to pivot it? Just a little bit?
Good. Yeah.
Mo better?
A little bit.
Cool. So I know the light power on this needs to be 9.5 because we tested it earlier. So I'm going to take it to 9.5. So it's Fresnel Small. Ready? Cool. Oh yeah, we got to turn off this one. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. And then let's turn it back off again. I'm gonna just hold it as best you can. Okay. We're gonna go iris down. And then I've got to point this a little bit better. Like right there-ish, I think. It might have rotated.
Down there, perfect.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. We're going to power that all the way up because we need it. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1.
Am I good?
Yeah, I think so. You can unfreeze. So the iris is going to eat up a bunch of light, as you can see there. But you could point it down pretty tight. Let's take this back. I'm going to have you come in here one more time. And let's push the light in so that people can actually see how the iris would light. We'll get rid of the, no, you know what? I don't think it matters that the fill light's in there. So jump in there for me real fast.
Sure.
And then we'll come over here and we'll compare all these things. Cool. Okay, you're gonna rock it into place.
We're about yawn here.
Yeah. Perfect. And then so I'm gonna take this and come in as tight as I need to get that light to, again, this is pretty, do you feel like that's on your eye right there?
Yes.
Okay, so let's see what this does. 3, 2, 1. Okay, there we go, perfect. So now you can see, oh, that looks actually super cool. I'm glad I actually left the fill light up. So let's do a comparison. Oh, yeah, I was stealing your mouse there, sorry. Oh, you're stealing my mouse now.
Hold on.
Do you need it for a second?
I just need to do this real quick.
We're mouse sharing. We're mouse sharing.
What did you do with my mouse? Okay, hold on.
We're mouse sharing because we found that we thought that this was going to be easier.
Okay, I'm off of it now.
She's off of it now.
Take it back.
We're back in mouse land. I need that keyboard though.
Oh.
Yeah.
I guess I'll let you borrow it.
Oh, and then we zoomed in super tight. That's good. All right, cool. It's getting weird,
if
guys.
Your key light is super soft, 4x6 plus a grid, do you think using a Fresnel as a hair light eats into or interferes with the softness?
Hold on, let's pull this up.
I'll let you use the mouse. You can take that question.
So if your key light is super soft, 4x6 plus grid, do you think using a Fresnel as a hair light would eat into or interfere with the softness? It shouldn't, because it's coming from a different location. It could easily be thought of, I mean, to be totally honest, if you're looking to replicate a sunset, those two in combination would be awesome with one another. So you could use the 4x6 as this really beautiful fill, and then the idea of the Fresnel would be the sun coming, across the sky, which would literally be the exact thing that you'd be doing in a situation like that. You would have your sunlight looking super hard and specular. You would have a nice fill light to bring some light back into your subject. It would look great. It really, really would. There's definitely, I would say there's not really a right or wrong there. Go ahead. Oh, I didn't put it away. Yeah. Ah, man. See, this is why I'm not in control of anything. Can't take me anywhere nice. So we're just going to look at it from the fill side. I think this will be the easiest one to talk about. So the first thing that you're going to notice from the Clic Fresnel, which is our light here, on the very far left, is it doesn't vignette out as much as the Fresnel Small does. The light beam is a little wider. I don't know the degree off the top of my head on the Fresnel Small. I do know that the Clic one is 34. Granted, the beam's also going to change with the iris, but I don't know what that beam width is at wide open. I could do a little more digging and ask the guys in Sweden, but I just don't know it. So, but saying that, you can tell just right here, look at all the fall off here on the edges. And this is even with the shot with the fill. So all the fall off here on the edges, again, nice and beautiful and round as far as that fall off goes. And it's pretty quick on the fall off. Here it's a little more feathered. It goes a little bit wider. You know what we didn't do? We didn't do a barn door, but we'll do that here in just a second. But really, really nice, even fall off, but just nice direct light right at the subject. Then, obviously, with the option of having the iris inside the Fresnel Small, you're going to have the ability to put the light right where you want it. You can see how direct that light is right on her eye. Super hard light, even from here. Let's go in here and kind of look at how the light her lid kind of falls across the eye. It does have a little bit of feathering because the size of the light is a little bit bigger. And then actually, let's talk about this. Sorry, babe, we're going back to the nose. Oh, you know what? I'll say this. Because of the directness of that light, the Fresnel size doesn't seem to change much in the nose shadow. There's a little bit of feathering right here, as opposed to the Clic Fresnel right here having kind of that hard edge. But honestly, this is still a super hard light. And then here, let's just go, it'll be a little bit more, it'll be a little darker here. But yeah, you can still see pretty hard edge. I mean, this is feathered out a little bit more. This isn't necessarily in that light beam, so you can't really compare it. But here at the eye, I'm trying to see if we can see kind of where the lid hits the eye. Kind of like right here, there's a little bit of feathering with the iris, the way that it is, but still looks really, really nice. So for the most part, the hardness, they're pretty close. The Clic still has the edge on hardness, but they're still pretty dang close. As far as, you know, the light hitting the waist here, again, the Clic looks to be a little wider. From that, I put the light stands in the exact same position. So it looks like, you know, we're getting a little bit wider throw here with the Clic. With the Fresnel Small, again, a little bit smaller throw. Here, look at the comparison. This is where the hardness is going to start, you're going to see it kind of come through. So look how tight the shadow is here on the background from Kate. And then right here, how we have that line of demarcation, that feathering, that's the size of the modifier. So that's why we're getting some more feathering here as opposed to here. So that's something again to keep in mind. If you're using the shadow as an element in your image, Clic is probably where you want to go, unless it's just style. My battery just died right here on my light. That's totally fine. We're going to do it dark style. So, but yeah, really, really lovely stuff. This is so cool. I mean, being able to take the iris and you could put that light right on the face if you wanted to, and still have this nice fall off. It's really, really cool. So you have those abilities. Now let's talk about, and we're gonna go throw the barn doors on really quick before we sign off for the day. Here, I'm gonna give you your mouse back.
Like an image of like Greta Garbo that comes to mind when I see that. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Yeah.
So let's throw the barn doors on the Clic Fresnel, just so you can kind of see how cutting that light changes some stuff, and then we'll call it a day unless there's more questions. So let's kick this off. Perfect. I'll bring this back in. Cool. So now we can take, now the only thing that I think is kind of a downside for the A2 with this is the modeling light's not really a modeling light. It's more of a light used for pulling focus. So what that means is that I can't really see what I'm cutting all that well until I take a photo. Ooh. Sorry about that. Did you look at it?
I sure did.
You shouldn't have done that. Highly recommend not looking at it. Cool. So I'm going to turn the barn doors. I'm going to try to keep the light as a sliver on Kate. So that's pointed at you. Yes?
Yes. No, it needs to come down. Sorry. A little bit. Yep. We're good.
Okay. And so I'm going to try to take this light and cut it into a sliver and see how that comes out. Cool. 3, 2, 1. So that looks really, really nice. Wait for it to load. So we're able to cut the light. You can see that the roundness on the edge starts to fall off here. Let's see if we can cut it up a little bit more. We're gonna slide the light just through there, and then let's close off the bottom a little bit. Let's just see what happens. There we go. 3, 2, 1. So we're starting to cut out a bunch of light, so we're losing some exposure. I'm gonna bump up the power just a hair, and then this will be the last shot, and we'll call it. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Very cool. Got some exposure back. Have that light come up a little bit. Perfect. So I'm gonna steal the keyboard one more time.
All right, take it back.
Keep your mouse. Keep your mouse out my house. Let's see. So by going with the barn doors, let's see what we got going on here. So with the barn doors, we were able to control some more of that light fall off. It's not quite here. Actually, let's do this.
I'd like to rotate the images so that they're larger.
I will. I'm just going to do one little thing, and then it's yours, boss. Did you figure out how to do that without it?
No.
Oh, gotcha. So let's compare. So this is the Clic, the Fresnel Small right here. This is the Clic Fresnel with the barn doors closed a little bit. And then this is the Clic Fresnel with the barn doors closed a lot of bit. So with the third image, we took the barn doors. Here, I'll show you. So you can kind of see how tight we had this positioned. So that's, for that third light, that's how much light we were letting through. So we were able to keep the light pretty controlled there, which is super fun. So what do we get in comparison? So I would say that we started to get a little bit more of the look of the Fresnel Small with the Clic Fresnel and the barn doors. There is still a little bit more light kind of spreading and hitting the background here. Are you trying to give me a little bit more light?
I was trying.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. But you're just gonna juice it. I'm about to get real bright, guys. There we go. But it's artsy. It's a nice short light, so it thins me out some. So, but what we're getting here is starting to get some of that look and feel of the Fresnel Small shot with that vignetting with the Clic Fresnel, which is nice. You still have kind of that hard light. I honestly kind of, with this arm that's kind of showing through, I kind of prefer the way that this feathered out one looks a little bit more, but that's a personal preference. I'm trying to see if you can tell the difference as far as like a straight edge on the barn doors as opposed to just the round edge. It doesn't look obvious to me. So we're just trying to look. As far as the light hitting Kate, this is still a little underexposed. I could have juiced it a little bit more. I still had a stop of light to play with, which was nice. So I could have powered it up here a little bit more and matched the exposure. We were just rolling through it for the sake of rolling through it. But you can see that we started to vignette out a lot more. So you have a lot of control with the Clic Fresnel with the barn doors, which is nice. So if you're an A-series user, I say get a Clic Fresnel. I think they're awesome. It's so compact. It's really, really easy to keep in your bag. The light's beautiful. It's crisp. I mean, even, this, you could, in theory, you could stack these two things together and be ripping. I'd never know how to fold this thing the right way. So there we go. So, I mean, that's a barn door and a Fresnel. That goes into the Fresnel bag, no problem. And you can keep that right in your bag and have an extra almost 2 stops of light output with this, which is really, really nice. Super compact, really direct light, really pointed. You have to make sure you're paying attention to where you're pointing it, or you could swing it past your subject. Again, you have a 34-degree beam spread, but a really beautiful light source. Here, you can have this back. I'm gonna get out of here. Thanks, dudes. Dudettes, party people. So, that was a breakdown of the differences between the Fresnel Small and the Clic Fresnel. So again, the Clic Fresnels are made specifically for the Clic Fresnels are made specifically for the why am I blanking? The A-series, specifically for the A-series. So you're not going to have the ability to use them with your B-series lights. So that's something that you need to keep in mind, or your D-series lights or something like that. The size of the actual light shaping tool themselves are different. So if you are a B-series, D-series, Pro, Acute series shooter, you need to make sure that you are using the Fresnel Small. It's made for that. You have the option again to use the Clic adapter with the A-series on the Fresnel Small. It's not that great. Again, it eats up about a stop to a stop and a half of power. So you generally want a little bit more juice with the Fresnel Small. And especially if you're gonna knock the iris down really, really small, you're gonna want a little more juice there as well. Again, the A-series has compactness, it has power, you have all the light shaping stuff. It's really, really awesome. With the Fresnel, you have the ability to work with almost every light. You have the iris, which is really cool, and it gives you the ability to control the light. You still have a barn door option for it to cut and shape the light that way. They work 360 degrees too. Again, I would show them, but I don't have any with me. So again, a really high quality piece of glass that is just a really good light shaping tool that'll last you forever. It's very well built. I'm trying to think if I missed anything. That's good. Awesome. Again, next week I think we're gonna, because we had a lot of Clic questions, I think we're gonna do a specific Clic geared up, just kind of going through all that stuff, addressing some of the things that we talked about. But I really, really appreciate your time. If you have any questions, DM me at @TheChrisMain on the grams. Nice. Look at you with the fingernails and everything. So DM me at @TheChrisMain. I love to chat with you. I try to go over and find you in the hidden messages if it happens. If I miss it, just DM me again or send me like a comment in like a post or something like that and be like, yo, Chris, and I will see that. So in the meantime, have an awesome rest of your week. We'll see you next time. Peace out, everybody.